Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things giallo, here on The King in Giallo. Our next stop on our journey through giallo cinema is the one and only giallo film from Ferdinando Merighi, The French Sex Murders, released on June 16th, 1972. Well, let's waste no time and get right into it. Here is The French Sex Murders Overview. The French Sex Murders, whose Italian title translates as House of Rendezvous, is an Italian and West German co-production. The film is directed by Ferdinando Merighi, billed as F.L. Morris, who also co-wrote it along with Marius Mattei and Dick Randall, billed as Robert Oliver. Music is composed by Bruno Nicolai. The cast is comprised of Anita Ekberg as Madame Colette, Rosalba Neri as Mariana, Robert Sacchi as Inspector Fontaine, Howard Vernon as Professor Valdemar, Barbara Boucher as Francine, Evelyn Kraft as Eleonora, Pietro Matalanza, billed as Peter Martel as Antoine Gavale, and Renato Romano as Mr. Randall. The plot begins with the brutal murder of a prostitute for which a man named Antoine is swiftly arrested and sentenced to death. During his trial, Antoine curses everyone involved in his conviction, vowing to return from the grave and take revenge. Shortly after escaping, he dies in what appears to be a freak accident, seemingly bringing the case to a close. But when more victims begin turning up, murdered in the same gruesome fashion, Inspector Fontaine, the arresting officer, returns to investigate. As the killings continue, those connected to Antoine's sentencing can't shake the feeling that his curse may be real, and that someone, or something, is carrying out his deadly promise. The French Sex Murders is one of the more ragged and low-rent gialli of its era. While the cast includes a number of recognizable names, most of them are squandered in a film thrown together with the kind of slapdash carelessness often associated with the lesser works of Jus Franco. Things get off to an awkward start with a chase scene atop the Eiffel Tower, culminating in the killer, whose identity remains a mystery at this point, falling to their death. The effect is achieved through an embarrassingly unconvincing animated matte shot. From there, the film only goes further downhill. The editing by Bruno Mattei is choppy, and director Ferdinando Merighi's haphazard coverage immediately signals what kind of experience the viewer is in for. Many of the film's interiors appear threadbare and hastily dressed, and the dialogue, as well as character motivations, often borders on nonsensical. The musical score by Bruno Nicolai is largely cobbled together from existing cues, recycled from superior efforts like Franco's Nightmares Come at Night, 1970, Sergio Martino's The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, 1971, as well as All the Colors of the Dark, 1972. Rather than enhancing the atmosphere, these borrowed tracks serve as constant reminders of how much better those other films are. One of the film's oddest choices is the casting of Robert Sacchi, a Humphrey Bogart lookalike, in the role of the inspector. Sacchi, born in the Bronx in 1941, made his screen debut in this film. His uncanny resemblance to the Hollywood legend would later land him the lead in The Man with Bogart's Face, 1980, and he continued to trade on that persona in various other projects. Here, his lack of experience is painfully evident. Dressed in a trench coat and adopting a forced noir demeanor, Sacchi awkwardly ambles through the film, while the English dubbing attempts to imitate Bogart's distinctive voice, only adding to the distraction. When it's not parodying American noir, The French Sex Murders veers into cheap mad scientist territory, with cult favorite Howard Vernon appearing as the suspicious Professor Valdemar. He's one of several potential suspects, though it's never clear whether he's actually dangerous or just happens to be a severed head enthusiast. Vernon approaches the role with tongue firmly in cheek, lacking the gravitas he brought to his collaborations with Jus Franco. Born Mario Lepere in Switzerland in 1908, though some sources cite 1914, Vernon was the son of a Swiss father and an American mother. Fluent in English, French, German, and Spanish, he enjoyed a prolific international career. He made a major early appearance in Jean-Pierre Melville's Le Silence de la Mer, 1949, and later worked with directors like Fritz Lang in The Thousand Eyes of Dr. Mabuse, 1960, John Frankenheimer in The Train, 1964, Jean-Luc Godard in Alphaville, 1965, Woody Allen in Love and Death, 1975, and Marc Caro and Jean-Pierre Jeunet in Delicatessen, 1991. Genre fans know him best for his work with Franco, including The Awful Dr. Orloff, 1961, Succubus, 1967, A Virgin Among the Living Dead, 1971, Dracula, Prisoner of Frankenstein, 1972, La Fille de Dracula, 1972, Sinner, 1973, and many others. He passed away in 1996. The film's erotic potential is sadly underwhelming, despite featuring genre favorites Barbara Boucher and Rosalba Neri, seen earlier this same year in Amok. Both actresses look stunning, but are given precious little to do. Boucher, in particular, is shamefully underused, appearing in an introductory sequence involving a lunatic stalker before swiftly being killed off. Neri does her best with the material, but like Boucher, she's wasted in a role that doesn't capitalize on her screen presence. Viewers hoping for sleaze or stylish sex appeal will come away disappointed. Director Ferdinando Merighi, credited here under the alias F.L. Morris, handles the material without much elegance or vision. He occasionally attempts to inject visual flair by printing scenes in either tinted negative or color tint, but these effects come off more amateurish than artistic. The pacing drags, suspense is virtually non-existent, and the overall production looks painfully cheap. In many ways, the film is emblematic of the work of its producer and co-writer, the infamous Dick Randall. Randall, born in the Catskills in 1926, began his career writing for American television before moving into film distribution and eventually producing his first movie in 1961. His approach was always profit first, and his resume reads like a roll call of European exploitation. He produced Mario Bava's long-delayed sex comedy 4 Times That Night, which was shot in 1969 but unreleased until 1972, as well as the semi-giallo The Mad Butcher, 1971, with Victor Buono as a maniac who turns people into sausages. But most of his output leaned into the bottom tier of cult cinema. Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks, 1974, Supersonic Man, 1979, For Your Height Only, 1981, The Clones of Bruce Lee, 1981, and the infamous Pieces, 1982, a Spanish giallo slasher hybrid known for its incoherence, sleazy excess, and graphic gore. Randall even appears briefly in The French Sex Murders, playing a brothel client. He died in 1996. As for Merighi himself, born in Rome in 1924, he remains something of a mystery. Credited filmographies are sparse. His first directorial effort appears to have occurred in the mid-1950s, but he didn't direct again until The French Sex Murders, a gap that might say more than words ever could. He followed this with the obscure spaghetti western They Called Him Trinity, 1972, which has no official connection to the more popular Trinity films starring Terence Hill and Bud Spencer. After that, his directing career essentially ended. He worked more regularly as an assistant director, including on the notoriously bizarre giallo In the Folds of the Flesh, 1970, a film that shares this one's cheapness, incoherence, and cult appeal, but is arguably more fun in how over the top it is. If The French Sex Murders has any truly redeeming quality, it's the special effects work by none other than Carlo Rambaldi, who had previously brought to life the plethora of gruesome kills in Mario Bava's 1971 giallo, A Bay of Blood, and who would later win Oscars for Alien, E.T., and King Kong. While The French Sex Murders doesn't give him the most prestigious canvas to work on, his craftsmanship still stands out. The film features a handful of well-executed throat slashings and 2 surprisingly graphic decapitations that are far more convincing than the surrounding production deserves. Rambaldi's work injects brief moments of visceral impact into an otherwise flat film, and for fans of practical gore effects, these sequences may be the only reason to watch. In closing, The French Sex Murders is a chaotic, poorly assembled patchwork of giallo, noir, and mad scientist tropes, peppered with familiar genre faces but directed with little conviction. Between recycled music, recycled ideas, and a cast largely left adrift, the film never finds its identity. While completionists may find some value in its sheer absurdity, or its place within the larger constellation of Dick Randall's output, this is far from essential viewing. For many, the most fascinating thing about the French sex murders is how so much talent could result in so little. Thank you for watching this overview video. As of the time of recording this, the French sex murders can be found on YouTube, Tubi, Plex, Shudder, and Amazon Prime. Stay tuned for my unscripted movie review for the French sex murders, as well as the Gialli Tally. Comment your predictions for the AZ score for the movie and the final Gialli Tally score. Thank you all very much for your continued support. This is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
She told you to go away, compris? So get the hell out of here! Get out!